Sendai Port used to be closed because of the earthquakes, but the part of the function is restored today, and the first batch of the emergency supplies arrived from Kyushu. Water, food, and blankets and the others are included in these loads. Much appreciated load. And this is a Kamaishi port of Iwate Prefecture. This reopened yesterday, and 2,500 cans of that baby formula were delivered. And the dairy production processing company answered to the desperate plea of the young mothers. And repair ships for the repairing the boats also is going to be dispatched. 4 crane ships are going to be dispatched from Hokkaido. This is going to be used for the repair work of the various port facilities. And this captain says that he's going to do his best to contribute to the recovery of the local communities. Now, next is the improvement of the train road for the cargo transportation from Aomori to Morioka. This route opened.
This cargo train can carry more than enough fuel that would be the equivalent of 40 tanker trucks. Tomorrow night, the train will leave from Yokohama towards Morioka. And they can now approach the area from the sky. Sendai Airport was devastated by the tsunami. Of the 3,000-meter-long airstrip, 1,500 meters was given priority, debris was removed. Now the self-defense forces and the U.S. military can have their transport aircraft land 24 hours a day. The self-defense forces have moved their central activities to support of goods delivery. And they plan on delivering 12,000 blankets by helicopter today. This mission was canceled due to inclement weather. They were only able to transport 1/3 of
because this is their home community. And the building sustained the tsunami because it's the ferroconcrete structure, and the seawater came up to the hip. As you can see, that the portable toilets and the furniture, pieces of the furnitures are scattered around. And many of the houses are washed away because of tsunami, and the residents are taking shelter in the nearby shelter. And this institution was safe, especially the second floor up. About 200 people are elderly, some have amnesia, but none felt victims of the tsunami.
Here on Newsline, we are now broadcasting the audio of this newscast to on our local TV channel on the bilingual program. Live streaming of this program is also available worldwide on our NHK World website. Now we continue with our coverage of the earthquake. Efforts to cool down spent fuel storage pools were made from the air at the quake-hit Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant on Thursday. Water was sprayed for the first time from the ground. Japan's self-defense forces used 5 special fire trucks in rotation to spray water into a storage pool for spent nuclear fuel rods inside the number 3 reactor building. The operation started at 7:35 p.m. on Thursday and finished at 8:09 p.m. 30 tons of water was sprayed. The SDF and the government will decide whether to continue the operation on Friday. Police began a water spraying operation in the evening but could not reach the building. They decided to suspend the operation due to the high radiation level. The SDF and the police operations came in response to rising fears that a large amount of radiation may leak. Water in the pools for spent nuclear fuel rods is believed to be vaporizing due to the failure of the cooling system. Now, this could expose the fuel rods, causing them to melt and discharge radioactive material into the air. The Tokyo Electric Power Company had decided on the spraying operation at the number 3 reactor building when it saw steam coming from it. The power company has said on Wednesday that there was still water in the pool at the number 4 reactor building. Earlier on Thursday, Japan's Self-Defense Force helicopters dumped seawater on the crippled number 3 reactor building for the first time. 2 CH-47 helicopters dropped 7.5 tons of water 4 times each. The first water dropping operation lasted for 13 minutes. Tokyo Electric Power Company officials have told reporters they will carefully check radiation levels to analyze the effects of the police and self-defense force spraying operations.
We believe we saw a small amount of steam rising from the spent fuel storage pool at the number 3 reactor after the water was sprayed. That seems to indicate that the spraying had a cooling effect.
Osaka University professor Akira Yamaguchi explains the significance of the spraying operations.
Now here is the scenario to avert crisis, and what we see today is to inject water into the pool. That's on the very top. Now, what kind of a significance does it have to successfully inject water into the pool? If we inject water into the pool, then the exposed fuel rods will once again immerse into the water, and we can cool them down once again. And in that case, the fuel will be cooled, and so we can prevent further damage to the nuclear fuel, and then the radiation level will go down, and we can prevent the radioactive substances from going out. And then, if the radiation reading goes down, then the workers can easily access to the compound, and that means they can take time to actually work out the problems, and so they can have more options in dealing with this matter. And then right now they are trying to restore the power supply in the compound, and so there's much more possibility to restore the electricity.
Defense Minister Toshimi Kitazawa told a news conference that he expects the latest operation to cool the reactor to be successful.
As you're already well aware, this morning, starting from 9:48 a.m. Japan Standard Time, the Self-Defense Forces helicopter squad have been deployed and have started aerial operations spraying water onto reactor number 3. Thereafter, in total, there have been 4 such operations conducted by air. With the water being funneled into the spent fuel pool, we believe that it will help to cool down the fuel.
Kitazawa said it would be best if they can repeat the operation as many times as possible, but will make his decision after considering the risks it poses to the health of his troops. Now, spraying, injecting, and dumping water onto the reactor is one way of tackling this issue, this crisis, but also restoring power to the cooling system to cool the reactor is what Tokyo Electric Power Company is hoping to do, and is what they're hoping this will ultimately keep the reactor under control. And Tokyo Electric Power Company has begun to install new electricity cables to restore power to the cooling systems. But it says late on Thursday evening that although the spring operation took up time, it could have power restored as early as Friday. TEPCO has said on Thursday morning that it would start connecting power lines to high-voltage cables near the plant on Thursday afternoon. It aims to send the first electricity to the number 2 reactor, where electrical systems were not seriously damaged. But because of the spring's operation and the high level of radiation, laying the power lines is taking longer than was expected. TEPCO says it could have power restored as early as Friday. Earlier, Osaka University Akira Yamaguchi told us how installing new power lines to the nuclear power plant will help.
TEPCO is attempting to restore its high voltage power. What does that mean? Restoring high voltage power, according to information from TEPCO, has to do with connecting an external power source to their power supply system. If they can get their high voltage power back up, they can use various power sources to execute a variety of measures. What kind of power sources will they need? What kind of devices will they be able to use then? For the spent fuel rod pool, there's actually a pump that is needed to recycle the water, to circulate the water. By circulating the water, it will be possible to cool down the spent fuel rod pool and the core. There are many systems that are involved in cooling down the heat. Once the various pumps can get going, they will be able to function steadily and over the long run to cool down the core. However, one thing to note is that just because the power is restored, that does not mean that the coolant system will be back up. The pumps need to be properly connected to the power supply in order for the pumps to move. That part also needs to be taken in account.
The U.S. military says one of its unmanned surveillance aircraft has captured images of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. The collected data has been given to the Japanese government.
According to the U.S. military, the Japanese government requested for information gathering with unmanned surveillance aircraft due to concern that long-time aerial photographing and filming of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant.
Now, spent fuel storage pools were made from the air at the quake-hit Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant on Thursday. Water was sprayed for the first time from the ground. Japan's Self-Defense Force used 5 special fire trucks in rotation to spray water into a storage pool for spent nuclear fuel rods inside the No. 3 reacting building. The operation started at 7:35 p.m. on Thursday and finished at 8:09 p.m. 30 tons of water was sprayed. The SDF and the government will decide whether to continue the operation on Friday. Police began the water spraying operation in the evening but could not reach the building. They decided to suspend the operation due to the high radiation level. The SDF and police operations came in response to rising fears that a large amount of radiation may leak. Water in the pools for spent nuclear fuel rods is believed to be vaporizing due to a failure of the cooling system. Now, this could expose the fuel rods, causing them to melt and discharge radioactive material into the air. The Tokyo Electric Power Company had decided on the spraying operation at the No. 3 reactor building when it saw steam coming from it. The power company has said on Wednesday that there was still water in the pool at the No. 4 reactor building. Earlier on Thursday, Japan's Self-Defense Force helicopters dumped seawater on the crippled No. 3 reactor building for the first time. 2 CH-47 helicopters